Welcome, everyone. I'm Dr. John White, the Chief Medical Officer at WebMD, and you're watching Your Health on Tech. Did you know that the average person urinates 7 times a day? Think how much information we could be learning about our bodies by analyzing our urine. It might give us information about our risk for prediabetes or urinary tract infection. It could give potential warning signs of a kidney stone, as well as kidney or bladder cancer. We tend to focus on blood tests, but perhaps analyzing our urine is an easier way to improve our health. Well, it may not be that far off until you can do this in your own bathroom. My guest today is Mathieu Letombe. He's the CEO of Withings, which has developed the U-Scan. And that's going to enable users to analyze their own urine in real time in their own home. He's joining me from Paris, France. Bonjour, Mathieu. Comment ça va?
Hello, everyone. I'm really well, thank you.
Now, your company has historically focused on measurements such as body weight, heart rate, even blood pressure. What made you decide to go into looking at things like urine?
Yeah, I mean, we are, has always been working on looking for new biomarkers. The goal is to be as much as, I mean, the less invasive possible, meaning that we don't want to require any effort from our users, because we believe that any effort would decrease the stickiness or the retention of our user. And for us, it's really important for our product to be used as frequently as possible and as long as possible in order to really unlock their power, the power of having regular data coming from our devices for the user to better understand their health. After looking at weight and blood pressure or an ECG, as you mentioned, we also wanted to go deeper into what we measure, and we were looking at the body fluids, and one of the obvious was urine. We worked for about 5 years in order to try to understand how we could retrieve that stream of data that it's natural to have out of your body about 7 times a day. So it's non-invasive because, I mean, everyone goes to the toilet every day. And we work hard trying to understand how we could capture that stream of data, which is one of the deepest possible with blood, as it contains about 3,000 components in urine. So we worked on that for 5 years, and we announced early January this year at CES our Urine Labs that fits into everyone's toilets.
Is a urine sample the new blood test?
I don't know if it's the new blood test, but for sure is getting that urine sample that is hard to get today. Mm-hmm. The process is really long and sometimes frustrating. You have to do it yourself, then take your urine into a lab, then to wait for the result. I think that what makes U-Scan special is the accessibility of data and the fact that you don't have to do anything. It's hands-free, meaning that it sits in your toilet. You do whatever you do on a daily basis, mm-hmm. and then it's our role to collect it and to then analyze it in order to retrieve it through our application.
Now, tell our audience how it works, because it seems like you're miniaturizing a lab that you're essentially putting into your toilet. Is that an accurate description of it?
Yes, indeed. I can straight to you quickly. Mm-hmm. So that's U-Scan, our urine lab. Basically, it will fit in your toilet. You will urinate on it, and thanks to its patented shape, we will retrieve urine at the bottom of the product. Once it goes in, it will go through a microfluidic circuit within the device, and then we have a second part of the device, which is a cartridge. And this cartridge can embed around 100 different types of tests. The product will select the right test for the day, depending on your plans, your programs, and what you want to test. And it will inject urine in one of the test pods. Then the cartridge will move inside the device in front of an optical sensor. And the idea then for the optical sensor is to read the results, analyze it, and then send it through the cloud for you to have access to the data within your application And of course, you can share that data with a doctor or with a health expert, depending on what you are looking to track.
Now, right now, you're focused on metabolic health, nutrition elements, also reproductive health, trying to predict fertility. Why did you choose those two areas as opposed to looking and giving a diagnosis of prediabetes, perhaps looking for glucose or trying to assess urinary tract infections? Is that coming up later? How did you go with metabolic health first?
Yes. Um, two things for us was really important. First of all, we had to find a consumer application. It's really hard because it's kind of a breakthrough to have those measurements done within the home. So we have to come up with consumer application. We also have a more healthcare application, a third cartridge that is developed for the healthcare industry in parallel. And then there is our ability to develop those specific tests and our ability to go through regulation in order to put those tests on the market. We are also looking at cancer detection. We have ongoing research study on bladder and ovarian cancer, for example. And we know that being able to measure that, maybe not every day, but quite frequently versus getting into a lab, we should be able to see things and to be able to prevent much earlier on those kind of issues. We are also looking at kidney stones relapse detection. So all those things. But we came up with nutrition and women's health, which also fit kind of the consumer persona we are already addressing with our existing devices.
Okay. Now, I'm not sure exactly what the French word is for ick, but is there kind of this ick factor in terms of its urine? People sometimes are uncomfortable with that as opposed to, giving blood. How does that play into people's utilization of this type of tool?
Yeah, we thought about it for quite a while. I think we were really positively surprised by our audience reaction to what we announced. I think that like health tracking has become more and more, useful, and people get used to it. I think that 10 years ago, you could have asked the same question with weight, for example, when we launched our first mass scale. Like, do really people want to track their weight and share it and follow it as they do today? So of course there is a first barrier to go through.
As you know, there's a headline relating to your device that caught my attention. And it says, Withings toilet computer wants to be the WebMD for your pee. So here we are at WebMD. What does that mean, Mathieu?
I think it's kind of sharing health data with the vast majority, having health data available, being accessible, I guess, for the US market and US consumer. So I think it's really in line with what we are trying to do, not having health data only available for doctors and only understandable by doctors. I think this is what we really are trying to achieve as Withings, is to give back the ownership of health to whom it belongs. And it's not only about the data. If you really want to have the ownership of something, you have to understand it. So I think WebMD is obviously playing its role into that. Mm-hmm. And that's what Withings is willing to achieve as well. It's giving data, educating, mm-hmm. giving knowledge, giving guidance as well, but also respecting our role, which is not being a doctor, and to also being this connection between our user or our patient to the healthcare world, as where our role stops, to give the patient with a link to an expertise we might not have.
You described what we do here very well. We're empowering people with good information that's going to lead to better health. Mathieu Letombe, thank you very much for taking time today.
Thank you very much as well.
So what are my takeaways? I mentioned that health happens outside the doctor's office. And this is what these types of technology are about. We're miniaturizing a lab. We're placing it in the home, in this setting, the bathroom. We're continuously collecting information throughout the day and then using that information to perhaps get some early warning signs of disease, to empower you with your own data that you then can talk to your doctor about. That's what we want to see in terms of the role of health tech and how it can overall improve your health. Thanks for watching. If you have questions, feel free to drop me a line. You can email me at drjohn@webmd.net.